Hello. Welcome to RELX SDG Inspiration Day 2025, the future of philanthropy. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are in the world. We want to hear from you. Please join in the conversation today. You can share in the chat on the right-hand side of your screen all day. Join in the conversation. First of all, though, where are you tuning in from? We're coming live from a very grey London. What's the weather like where you are? Please give us a shout out, and also do share the day's happenings today. We are using these hashtags, hashtag SDG Inspiration Day, hashtag Future of Philanthropy. Welcome. And you are in for a treat. Hello from India. Already you're saying hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oxford, good morning. Oxford, hello. It's probably good afternoon in India. Hello, Ohio. Wow, it must be very, very early where you are. Let me just tell you what you've got in store for you today. You are in for a treat. We have inspiring guests, including Ban Ki-moon, the visionary eighth Secretary General of the United Nations, coming up in a few minutes. The multi-talented Sir Lenny Henry, comedian, philanthropist, co-founder of BBC's Comic Relief. Now, I've grown up with Lenny Henry, and I remember his show, Lenny Henry Show, and he's going to be live. We're going live all day today for you, and also a touch of royalty later. You've got to tune in for this. Sarah, Duchess of York, a dedicated author and humanitarian. She is a force to be reckoned with. I have met her before. She is inspirational. That's later on in the day, plus many more inspirational thought leaders, experts, panels. I'm Esther Stanhope, the Impact Guru, by the way. I'll be your host for the day. I'll be guiding you through this fantastic event. Plus, I'll be leading you around the platform where you can explore the expo. You can network. You can learn more about RELX SDG Inspiration Days, and there's a plethora of resources as well. And please do keep your comments and your chat and your views coming in. Hello. Oh my goodness, Argentina. We have the whole world tuning in today. Thank you so much. Hello, Luxembourg. Today, we are going to be unlocking new insights into philanthropy's pivotal role over the final crucial years of the United Nations SDGs, that's Sustainable Development Goals. We'll be asking, can philanthropy bridge the $4 trillion funding gap needed to drive Sustainable Development Goals forward? Ban Ki-moon will be on in a minute. He's the visionary 8th Secretary General of the United Nations. He's going to be introduced by a very special guest in a few minutes. But first of all, Inspiration Day is brought to you by RELX. RELX is a global data analytics and events powerhouse with 36,000 people across 40 countries. I think we have 40 countries tuning in today. I can see Sussex and Iraq. We have got the world tuning in. Hello, world. Thank you so much. We are going to be discussing the challenges. We're going to be sharing opportunities, our ideas for opportunities. We are going to help propel the United Nations SDGs forward. So let me introduce you to someone who is known for being an extraordinary eco-innovator. Her and her team are right now behind the scenes working really hard to make this Inspiration Day fantastic for you. She's RELX's founding Chief Sustainability Officer and Global Head of Corporate Responsibility. Let me welcome to the virtual RELX Inspiration Day stage, Dr. Márcia Balisciano. Hello, Márcia.
Hello, Esther. Thank you for such an amazing introduction. This is so exciting. And we are indeed glad that the world is tuning in for the 2025 RELX SDG Inspiration Day. So I'm glad that you're going to be with us, shepherding us through amazing content throughout the day. And what I wanted to do now is just provide a little bit of some preparatory thoughts about the day ahead.
Fantastic. I'll see you in a few moments, Márcia. Really looking forward to your guest. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther.
Namaste.
Yes, so I have the privilege, as Esther said, of leading corporate responsibility at RELX. And RELX is an amazing company focused on data and analytics that makes a difference for people and the planet. We started these inspiration days back in 2017. That's when we launched the free RELX SDG Resource Center. This is an amazing portal for the world with content that we've curated from across our business and from key partners, primarily from within the UN system, to ensure that people can get information that can advance their work as it relates to the United Nations SDGs. Every nation of the world in 2015 adopted the SDGs. As you heard in the promo video from Ban Ki-moon, they are a to-do list for the world, but we're not quite on track. There's only 5 years left to run before they come to a conclusion in 2030, but yet there's a $4 trillion funding gap, which the UN estimates. So this is against a backdrop of cuts to state aid across a number of state capitals. So, our question today is, can philanthropy fill the gap? Can it bridge that divide between what is still needed to address the 17 SDGs about limiting poverty, advancing education, addressing climate change, addressing peace, justice, and strong institutions, all 17 of these global goals? One of the things that we focus on at RELX, it's really at the heart of who we are and what we do, are our unique contributions to society. And that's going to be a focus for us today. We will be looking at minimizing risk and protecting people. We're going to look at science and health. We will explore access to justice and furthering the rule of law, and also how we foster resilient communities. This is our focus at RELX. It's what we do to enable our customers to do their work better and more efficiently while making a positive impact on society. And we try and walk the talk. In 2024, our colleagues around the world, as you heard from Esther, more than 36,000 of them, volunteered 129,000 hours in local communities across the world. It's truly amazing. And we also donated $6.7 million in cash and $15 million in goods and services. So we're trying to do our part, but there's always more to be done. When I looked this morning at the SDG Resource Center, and last year we had over 300,000 unique users of the site. So please, we are so grateful you're joining us today. Please stay in touch with us. Please use the Resource Center. A really cool feature on the homepage is the SDG News Tracker, where you can get up-to-the-minute news on the SDGs from around the world and up to the last 30 days in every UN language plus German. So when I searched today on philanthropy, I came across something called Designing for Sustainability, a case in corporate philanthropy and evaluative thinking. How perfect. And it's from 2025. It's freely available on the Resource Center. So please check this portal out and make use of it. It's a beautiful banquet that we've created. So why is this about inspiration? Well, I think we need ideas, we need connections, and we need content, which is what RELX is all about. We have brought you together. We hope that you'll stay through as much of the day as possible. We hope you will make wonderful connections, and it will spur you, inspire you to advance your own work and the things that you do to make real the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, I have the great honor to introduce one of the world's great leaders. He was, as you have heard, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. We have the privilege of serving on the board of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, and we're going to hear from Monika Froehler, the CEO, shortly. but his resume is truly incredible. He has been at the forefront of issues around addressing challenges for women and youth, for addressing climate change. He is the architect of the SDGs, and he also was the architect of the Paris Climate Agreement. We can have no one better to set the stage for us today. So, without further ado, Ban Ki-moon, we look forward to your remarks.
Your Excellencies, dear co-organizers, distinguished participants, welcome to the 11th Annual RELX SDG Inspiration Day. Let me begin by greeting Márcia Balisciano, Chief Sustainability Officer at RELX. Thank you for your inspiring leadership and for your partnership of more than a decade with the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. I'm delighted to welcome the 8th cohort of Global Citizen Scholars of the Ban Ki-moon Center. Dear scholars, your innovative solutions remind us that even the smallest actions can create a lasting impact. Thank you for your dedication to sustainable development. I am sure that the upcoming weeks in your program, supported by RELX, will be a transformative journey. Together with changemakers and decision makers, the Ban Ki-moon Center strives to advance the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Change Agreement. No nation, organization, or citizen can do this alone. All stakeholders must focus on their strengths and work together. In this regard, today's event presents a valuable opportunity to explore how philanthropy can most effectively contribute to the achievement of the SDGs. Philanthropy's involvement in advancing the SDGs is not just beneficial, it is absolutely essential. Your convening power can build strong networks. Your capacity can reach millions of people, and your resources can be the catalytic force that shifts the needle. You can support valuable communities, educators, and innovators, the people who are already driving change on the ground. With just 5 years left to achieve the SDGs, we must work together more than ever. We must foster collaboration across the sectors: philanthropy, academia, governments, and civil society. I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Ban. We really need your leadership. The world needs your leadership, and we are grateful for it. Now, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Monika Froehler, the CEO of the Ban Ki-moon Center. She is a passionate change maker, and she is an advocate, founder, and speaker. She was entrusted by the Ban Ki-moon Center and Ban Ki-moon and his co-founder, President Heinz Fischer of Austria, after working at the UN in Geneva, Vienna, New York, and the EU to lead and establish this organization. She has worked around the globe in areas ranging from Central Asia and Africa, Latin America, and she has been doing so much to bring young people to the table, including those Ban Ki-moon Center scholars that the Secretary General mentioned. So, Monika, we are really looking forward to your remarks.
Good morning, Márcia, and good morning, Esther and the rest of the world. It's a pleasure to be here. It's really wonderful to share this occasion of the RELX Inspiration Day with you, because it's been a tradition for the Ban Ki-moon Center to work with not only Márcia, who is part of our board, but also with all of the partners that are really trying to shift the needle towards the benefit of the SDGs. So a great hello to all of our friends in Africa, in the US, in Europe, and also in Asia who are tuning in today. I've seen Esther prompted you to write from India, from Togo, from the US. So it's absolutely wonderful to have you all here. I'm allowed to talk to you about philanthropy. And I hope that my slideshow that I prepared for you will come up, because I actually want to explore together with you what philanthropy means. Let's go right to the next slide. I'm really curious about what you, all of you, connect with the term philanthropy. You see here a beautiful word, cloud, but I'd be keen to read in the chat what comes up when you think of philanthropy. What does it actually mean to you? Is it only about charitable giving? Is it only about donations? What does it trigger for you? So do give me some of your ideas in the chat, and I hope that we will together create an even broader word cloud of philanthropy. So any ideas what philanthropy actually is and what it stands for? Do I see any answers? Do get active on the chat and let me know. So in fact, philanthropy, if you look, humanity, I see, thank you. Maybe there are other ideas. Philanthropy actually consists of two Greek words. I don't know whether you're viewing it that way, but philos and anthropos. Impact, I read, partnering for the good. Philos is, of course, love and care. And anthropos is humans. So literally the term actually means our love for human beings, social good, greater good. I like all that. So let's flick to the next slide. So the official definition obviously is a love of humanity. Philos, anthropos, a love of humanity. And it's really the framework in which we are operating in philanthropy. It's often defined as voluntary giving. So it's definitely not about profit. It's not an obligation. It's rather free. And it's about public benefit. So it's a goal that we see in education, healthcare, poverty relief, arts, environmental causes, etc., that we support others. And Lucy just said, we support humanity. Christopher said it's about thought leadership. No, that's not Christopher. Empathy and engagement. So it is going beyond charity. So it doesn't often focus on the immediate relief of something, but it rather targets causes and long-term solutions. It can be done by individuals, it can be done by organizations, and I do hope that at the end of my talk, you will realize that all of you actually can be philanthropists. Next slide. The story that I want to tell you is the one of the guy circled in red at the very back on this picture. Maybe some of you realize who it is. You definitely know the gentleman in front of the picture, John F. Kennedy. This picture was taken in 1963 at the White House lawn, and John F. Kennedy was president of the US at that point in time. And the gentleman circled in red at the very back is no one but 17-year-old Ban Ki-moon, my boss and the person that we have already heard speaking today. Why is this picture significant? It was the height of the Cold War, and Ban Ki-moon was invited with many other youngsters to come to the US on an exchange program with the Red Cross. And they happened to meet the then president, JFK. And JFK turned to the young people saying, we are at the height of Cold War. We old people can't talk to each other, but you actually can. You are young. You can reach out your hand and you can be of help to others. And these words inspired Ban Ki-moon back then so much that he said, okay, what's the best way for me to aspire into a career of helping others and becoming a philanthropist in the core sense of the word? He said, let me join foreign service. And he passed all the exams. And while in foreign service of his war-struck country, South Korea, he actually rose in ranks and became foreign minister of Korea. And later on, you know the story, he became Secretary General of the United Nations. So fast forward, next slide. He actually was fusing forces with Heinz Fischer, a friend of his that he won over the years, even already as diplomat in Austria and then as foreign minister and later on as Secretary General, the former president of Austria. And both of these gentlemen resigned with their respective roles in 2016-17 and thought, how can we use our our network, our given lifetime still, to create an atmosphere for global citizens. Because what Ban Ki-moon already learned way back with JFK at the age of 17 was that it does need a global citizen mindset to actually benefit humanity. So the Ban Ki-moon Center was founded, guided by the vision of humanity should have global citizen leaders that care for people, the planet, and prosperity. And of course, our mandate and goal is to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement. And Márcia already referenced it, and we also saw it in the beautiful video at the start of this session. We only have a couple of years left to fulfill the SDGs. But we really urgently need all of the forces to help. And I believe that all of us can do their share, being philanthropists of sorts, but let me see what your role will be. Our role definitely is to foster leadership. We can't work with the whole entire globe, but we can work with leaders. And we do that, next slide, by working with young change makers and with decision makers. Young change makers, because think of the picture of S.G. Bahn with Kennedy, he really believes in the power of young change makers and how young people can alter paths of history. So we do leadership buildings, and thanks to RELX, we can host a Global Citizens Scholarship every year, empowering young people with skills and opportunities. And sometimes we can even equip young people with finance to create their projects on the ground and to find the solutions in their communities. What we also do is often young people are not heard at the decision-making tables. So we manage to get their insights into what policies should actually change. And we collect these policy insights and put them into recommendation papers, demand papers that we hand over, as you can see on the picture, to ministers of the respective countries. But we don't leave it at that, because the young change makers are heard, obviously, the moment they are promoted, or sometimes they are activists, and for that they are heard. But they are particularly also given kind of focus when all the decision makers are picking up their demands, their recommendations. And so that's what we do with established decision makers. So Ban Ki-moon and Heinz Fischer and many of our board members are actually advocates for policymaking in matters of environment and gender equality, youth empowerment, women empowerment. And as the Ban Ki-moon Center, we serve as a neutral convener to bring these platforms as unbiased spaces and open them to youngsters and established leaders alike. Next slide. So our main topics that you can associate with us very much are climate, education, women and youth, and of course the wide area of sustainability. Next slide. Ban Ki-moon has a key role, obviously, in all of this, and so does Heinz Fischer. But the actual stars of the show are our change makers. We are deeply thankful to be able to work with them. You see here on that very picture, the design garden of Women Smiles Uganda. So hello to all of our Ugandan friends. This is the design garden of Lillian Nakigozi, who herself has an amazing story. She grew up in a quite impoverished area in Kampala, Uganda. She was raised by a single mom, and horrifically, she actually lost a baby sister because of hunger and malnutrition in her family. And she made it her life's goal to end this kind of catastrophe for many other women that are struck by similar challenges. So she created this garden, which is a small patch, but has changed the life of more than 300 women already, because she's teaching women from impoverished areas, from slum-dwelling areas, how to garden, not only to feed their own family, but to create surplus produce with vertical farming techniques, with composting, with drip irrigation, etc., etc. So she's teaching them how to actually become an entrepreneur. And that's what Lillian does because of her own story, and she knows it is needed in her particular community context. We managed to highlight her story, elevate her as a change maker, and shed her voice and her story to a wider circle. And I think Lillian will still go places. She will definitely thrive even further. But we were very happy to learn from her about her story and be able to support her at the given moment when she needed it the most. Next slide. Another story that I would love to tell you about what Ban Ki-moon has done with his center and the foundation network that we have created in the meantime is Suhura. You see the smiling lady at the front of the vision of the picture. She founded She Shapes Nature. She's from Tanzania and was confronted, like many other young female leaders, with the sheer plight of not having access to land. Land is inherited normally in the male line of a family pedigree. And so she didn't have access to land and had to find an innovative way of still making an income. And she came to the conclusion of, let's do seaweed farming. The sea was accessible to her and to many other ladies that she has in the meantime taught the techniques of how to harvest seaweed. And she is producing products of oils and skincare products, and even you can eat seaweed. It's quite nutritiously healthy and rich. And with her project, she's now feeding a community of over 60 other women that are feeding even more with the produce of their great work as seaweed farmers. She's an agri-champion of ours that we now feature right today here in Hamburg. I will go over to a conference and we'll actually be able to tell her story. Suhura will be with us in spirit. She wanted to fly, but visa problems prevented it. So I'm trying my best to make her voice and her story heard here. Next slide. So the stories that we are allowed to encounter not only inspire us, but also people like him. You probably recognize him in the middle of the picture, Bill Gates. The one who I recognize is Eliud Rugut, the guy in the pink shirt. He's one of our agri-champions who has really not only inspired Bill Gates to the extent that after they went off stage together, Bill said, "Who is that guy that almost stole my show?" but also inspired me. Eliud was a farmer, or is still a farmer in Kenya, who was rock bottom when he started working with the Ban Ki-moon Center. And he saw in his community that, of course, there's the inheritance problem of access to land, but there is also the problem of food waste, because simply the infrastructure didn't exist to bring the food when it was harvested to the market in a time that the food would still be sell-worthy. So he invented Silos Africa, which are simple silos that can protect food so that they don't go off, basically. And Eliud has shared the stage with Bill Gates because he joined the Ban Ki-moon Center in one of our programs. And literally, Eliud is one of our greatest spokespeople because he is now a made businessman, but all because of his own ingenuity and because of his own efforts to actually reduce food waste in his communities. Next slide. So the man in the pink picture is Eliud Rugut. I see that the question from Berna in the chat. Eliud Rugut, he's from Kenya and one of our beloved champions of the Ban Ki-moon Center that we are allowed to work with. Here you see a picture of us working with smallholder farmers. You see many ladies, and these ladies are into bean production, beans that are iron and zinc rich. Iron and zinc is important for our nutrition and particularly the nutrition of the kids. And so we are hoping that eventually many countries, this is in Rwanda, many countries will adopt school feeding programs that actually include beans that are nutritiously rich. And you see me in the front of the picture together with Yvonne, who is one of our researchers at CGIAR. Horrible acronym, but they are the agricultural research entity that brings these solutions to the world and to smallholder farmers. I see Suha asks, how does one become a champion? Well, you apply to the Ban Ki-moon Center programs. They are on our website. Please check them out. We are always in search of incredible change makers that are already trying to shift the needle. Next slide. So indeed, the young people, I already told you, they're helping us to formulate policy because they really know what's going on the ground. They really know what is needed. And so here at COP, you see us being at COP27 in Egypt, and the colleagues at the margins of the slide are my colleagues from the Ban Ki-moon Center, but here we also have our agri-champion talking to the minister of his country, Rwanda, and handing over the demand paper of what the young folks actually need from politics. Next slide. So our demand papers are only a piece of the puzzle because indeed you can imagine wherever you see on this big slide, the blue dots, projects that we have been able to develop with our change makers are happening. They are called SDG microprojects because some of them are quite small and often lack funds, but still they are often reaching hundreds, if not thousands of people. And we are very proud that in the meantime, we have reached more than 2.5 million people, thanks to our incredible change makers that we work with around the globe. Next slide. So these micro projects really arch around the theme of you spot a challenge in your community, because who are we at the BKMC to know what's really going wrong in your community? The experts are the young people on the ground. So spot a challenge in your community, find a solution, and implement the solution with our help, with our mentoring, with our small grants that we can give, with our trainings, with our platforms that we can provide to the young people. What you see here is Ethiopia and our dear changemaker Ismail, who is teaching young girls, I think they're also boys, young girls and boys at his school, about road safety. Road safety is crucial, as many rules that are taken for granted, at least in Europe, are often not implemented yet, with buckling up or speed limitations, and kids have to cross streets to come to schools or to universities, and the streets are not regulated in a way that would be safe for the kids. So Ismail is teaching them how to be protected on the road and how to practice road safety. Next slide. And all of these stories, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, you can see I'm glowing for it, because I think they are doing the incredible work as true philanthropists. They are philanthropists in their own right. Here you see Winifred in Nigeria, who is teaching classes about particularly SDG 5 and 3, so health and gender equality, and about menstrual cycles, and that my period is my pride, and there is no shaming in having a menstruation, and how you can actually, as girl community, work together to not only be proud of that you are a woman, but also to reach the sanitation products and to get actually the hygiene products that you need. Next slide. Here you see Shanta, another change maker of ours. She's working in Malaysia with schools to teach global citizenship education, because she's convinced that the moment you're starting early to raise philanthropists, to raise change makers, the better the outcome will be. And what you see here is a project where it becomes evident to the kids that if you can break one stick is easily broken. But the moment you combine them, they get more stable, and they get actually more resistant. And to apply this kind of method to overall thinking is, of course, with teamwork, with try to work together, try to work in union. Next slide. So the whole area of GCED, meaning Global Citizenship Education, is a real thing. So what we see here is a school that actually teaches the SDGs, and even the very, very small ones are already starting to apply the SDGs. And you see the girl holding her own interpretation of the SDGs. It's a booklet, how they act for the SDGs in their daily lives, even at an age of 6, 7, 8. So Ban Ki-moon is very engaged in starting very early. Next slide. We obviously are happy to have cohorts from all over the world. Here you see a cohort from the Middle East. Next slide. You will see a cohort from ASEAN, from the Asian region. Next slide. And here you see the cohort, quite recent one, of Africa, many of our changemakers gathering. And I don't know if you remember where I started with my presentation. I started with SG Ban standing there, maybe next slide. He was standing there, next slide, in the midst of youngsters with Kennedy. So maybe you see with the picture that we took in Africa, the arch of his life now coming to full fruition, with him trying to give back what he learned already as a young student. He wants to give back to as many people as possible. And this is what we are trying to do. Now, you might wonder, okay, what does this have to do with me, and how does it have an influence on philanthropy? Let's go to the next slide. I have a couple of predictions for you. My first prediction is that the future of philanthropy will be different from what we experience now. It will be different in the dimensions on who gives, because it will be broader, it will be more inclusive, it will definitely be individuals as much as organizations, but I believe it can be literally everyone. How it is done, I suppose it will be more digital, it will be more decentralized. Surely we will have more data available, and resources like the RELX SDG Resource Hub, for example, are fantastic entry points into getting the real data on the SDGs. It will be about voluntary giving, but it will go beyond charity. We already established that before. What it will support? Yeah, I think it will support systemic change, because what young people see on the ground is that systemic change is needed. We need impact, we need equity. And of course, we will also see that the whole value system that comes around it will hopefully be connected to global citizenship values, meaning caring for the planet as a whole. Next slide. If you want to look into the crystal ball of what will come next, something that I want to put simply out there for your own consideration is the World Economic Forum is publishing a global risk report every year, and the one of 2025 shows the following. It gives you short-term risks and long-term risks, so those of the 2 years and those of the 10 years. And what we see in the short-term risks is actually that many people around the globe right now see mis and disinformation as the top worry, the top risk. And only then come extreme weather events, and then state-based armed conflict, and then societal polarization. When you look at the long term of the 10 years, you have lots of environmental risks, and then obviously also technological risks that come from the development of the AI technologies that are definitely a friend of development, I hope so, but need to be used in the right way. So to have some kind of compass on where the risks will take us and where philanthropy will be needed in the future, check out the Global Risk Report of the World Economic Forum. I think it's a fantastic compass on where we are heading. So next slide. So Ban Ki-moon hasn't stopped just to give only platforms to young people, but he also gives the opportunity to young people to become outright philanthropists themselves. So what we did, and we can flick to the next slide, and I will close soon, I'm almost at the end, we can flick to the next, yes, we have created a program that we call Accelerator Fund, where we have a committee of our alumni deciding on where the money that we put into a pot actually goes to. So they decide on the project of fellow change makers that they think are scalable, investment ready, and have allotted these wonderful 10 people with additional funding for their respective programs in their countries, all over Africa in this case. So we are creating committees of young change makers to become philanthropists, to actually become givers to their communities, even in a monetary sense. So let me almost finish with our progress as Ban Ki-moon Center. Next slide. Our progress has taken us to 2.5 million people that we empowered. We managed to inspire around 300,000 with our demand papers and online courses and everything that's available on our platform. And we mobilized around 9 million that we did reinvest for our young change makers. So if you want to launch something new with us, if you have a great idea that we could help to scale, then please reach out, check out our website, and definitely don't be a stranger. Next slide, and then I'm almost closing. I'm promising that for quite some time now. But I do want to give our big thanks to all of our donors that are helping us in our own philanthropic work. Like, of course, the governments, Republic of Austria, Kuwait and Korea, but also the big foundations that are traditionally known as the philanthropists, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Vaki Foundation, the Alexander Bodini Foundation. But you also see RELX as one of our key partners in our journey to support young change makers as change makers for the SDGs. So thanks a lot for RELX for also belonging to our circle of donors, particularly with our Global Citizenship Scholarship Program. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with one last picture to see the faces of who is behind the Ban Ki-moon Center. Next one, next slide. The faces of who is behind the Ban Ki-moon Center. This is a share of the team. We are a professional, young, very engaged, very dedicated team that is working for the vision of SG Ban. And his vision, let me summarize, is we only have one planet. And it's our planet A. There is no planet B. And we only have one plan, and it's Plan A, the Sustainable Development Goals. So we all need to become philanthropists to contribute to a world that is a bit better when we are not anymore than the world that we found. So let's use the last 5 years and let's try to do our best to be global citizens with passion and compassion. Reach out to us and be together with us on this journey. Thank you very much.
Monika, thank you so much. That was really powerful. You packed so much in about what we should be anticipating for the future, all of the things that you have been doing at the Ban Ki-moon Center to engage particularly young people to make a difference in their communities. I think you make it clear that there's action to be taken by all of us in our communities. And it's really a powerful message, and so grateful that you were able to join us today. And keep up the good work. Keep
Thank you,
inspiring.
Márcia. Yes, we will, with the help of all of you.
Wonderful. Okay, well, now we are going to move to another powerful speaker and great distinguished guest. It is Ms. Sanda Ojiambo. She is the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations. She's CEO and Executive Director of the UN Global Compact. RELX has been a signatory since 2003. It was launched in 2000 by Ban Ki-moon's predecessor, Kofi Annan, and a gentleman named Georg Kell to engage the business community. And under Sanda's leadership, she is doing really great things to advance the 10 principles on which the Global Compact is based. These principles are around labor, environment, anti-corruption, human rights. So the essential things that companies need to look at. And on her watch, she has doubled the number of corporate members to over 20,000 companies around the world and globally. She has an incredibly impressive background, and she's led during transformative times. She took over at the height of the pandemic, where she led the organization and supported businesses safely through. And she has also been working to spearhead regional hubs because the regional focus of the Global Compact is its strength. And those hubs under her tenure have included Abuja, Dubai, Panama City, and Bangkok. And that is bringing the UN Global Compact closer to businesses worldwide. So over to you, Sanda.
Dear friends, business leaders, and distinguished guests, and I'd like to thank the UN Global Compact Network UK, the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, and all of our event partners for hosting this exciting and timely discussion. And I'd like to especially thank the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and all of our guests for sharing their wisdom, their passion, and their commitment. The UN Global Compact was created in the year 2000 to facilitate this type of multi-stakeholder collaboration, which is so essential for solving some of the world's biggest problems. 25 years later, the challenges that we all face have become increasingly complex and interrelated. Geopolitical instability and violent conflicts are disrupting economies, threatening basic human rights, and exacerbating inequalities around the world. Global heating is accelerating at an alarming speed. According to the UN World Meteorological Organization, WMO, last year, more than 150 unprecedented climate disasters struck the world in the hottest climate that human society has ever experienced. As the planet's most vulnerable communities continue to be hit by the hardest global crisis, we are only on track to achieve 17% of the Sustainable Development Goals, and the $4 trillion financing gap for these global goals is larger than ever. Meanwhile, recent policy shifts, particularly in the US, are fueling a backlash against sustainable business and moving away from multilateral development commitments, including the Sustainable Development Goals. Dear friends, if we have learned anything over the past few years, it is that we all have a shared interest in these realities. At the UN Global Compact, we work to build bridges between the private sector, governments, and civil society organizations. We know that business and philanthropists are uniquely positioned to quickly and nimbly address local, regional, and global challenges. For example, private sector funding and creativity have been key to addressing the digital divide and the financial inclusion gap in communities across the global south. And business support for Ukraine has helped alleviate some of the war's worst economic and humanitarian impacts. Business and philanthropic organizations are increasingly collaborating with the United Nations, with contributions ranging from innovative funding mechanisms to expertise and network building. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals provide a call to action and a roadmap for philanthropists. By aligning philanthropy with the SDGs, we can ensure that people's needs and rights remain at the heart of giving. Corporate philanthropy also makes good business sense. It helps companies build credibility in local and global markets, enhance employee engagement, and contribute to overall resilience. After all, companies cannot grow and thrive long-term unless the communities that they serve are also thriving. Yet, according to the World Economic Forum, corporate giving still only makes up a small percentage of global philanthropy, 11% by some estimates. The business community must do more, and we must do it much faster. Dear friends, business has enormous potential to create positive change at scale, to build thriving, inclusive economies that put people and the planet over short-term profits. Corporate philanthropy is indeed a powerful tool towards reaching our global goals. So don't miss this opportunity to lead, to create the future that we all want. Thank you, and I look forward to future collaboration with all of you.
Thank you very much, Sanda Ojiambo. That was unbelievable, inspiring morning so far. We also heard from Monika Froehler from the Ban Ki-moon Foundation, and she was asking you to share your thoughts on what philanthropy means to you, the Greek word, the love of humanity. And I love your comments so far. Keep them coming. That's what we're going to be gathering today. Hello from where you are in the world, from Gambia, from Tonga, from Luxembourg, but also your thoughts on what philanthropy means to you, supporting people through our means and capacity. Thank you. Empathy, engagement, humanity. Keep your comments coming throughout the day.